And that we will start with our application. You lead us in prayer, please.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you this time and do your business, Lord. We pray to give each and one wisdom above and beyond our abilities. Help serve this community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And we'll all stay in and face our.
Flag is back to the right, pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation.
Thank you. You may be seated. With the roll call show that we have a quorum. There is a new item that's on the agenda, and that's, is anyone have any amendments that, or anything that needs to be discussed that's not already on the agenda? Brought to attention. And there is a place in the later for public comments, just so you all know. Thank you. And if that's the case, then we will go to our September 2023 meeting minutes. They're in your packet. And I do not believe they've been changed. Tell me, has anything changed since what we received? Motion to approve.
Second.
Parker, and second, Mr. White. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of our September 2023 financial reports. Those are also in your packet. Don't think that those have anything changed as well on those. And Tommy, if you want to present those, you're more than welcome to, sir.
We got a little bit higher income this round. We got developed savings for 24 lots out here for development expenditures. Quite a big jump in the revenue. Well, the next. Would y'all have any questions?
Approve the financials.
And the motion to move to approve the financials, Ms. Harper, you have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Ms. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next order of business is our water loss report for September 2023. Last page in the packet, I believe.
Yes.
We have had report of quite a few leaks. I've already personally experienced one of those. So,
We had a 33.3%. Well, this one is down from last year, 48.2 this time last year. We hold that trend down some. That's where it's at in September.
Does anyone have any questions on our water loss report? Are you Mr. Jason Evans?
I am.
Sir, you're actually on our agenda to address the board as our next order of business, so if you can have the floor.
All right, it's first of all, I want to thank the board for allowing me to speak. And I do want to thank the water department and Mr. Tommy. I also, I had a water leak last, it's been a couple of weeks ago now.
Last month.
Yeah. Yeah, it was before, I guess we just prior to the meeting, and so is contact insurance department, and they did help. We, corrected that issue. But the reason I wanted to address the board was, for multiple reasons, is over probably a 3 or 4 year period, we've had an issue with that was a special incident that happened, that it was, they were working on a line, had a valve off, and then increased the water pressure already higher than it already is. And first of all is, I have a concern that I would have not known that would have been the water department issue that caused it if I had not been happened to be on my way to the login and they were there at the pump. And so I want to make sure that is, not only was I had a leak, because of the increase in pressure, had a neighbor that had the same leak, had the same type of issue. Is that if there's something that happens with our water line, that it could at least be noticed, that we could be watching for those leaks. Because, when I got home, when my wife got home, we had water running in our basement, and so luckily it was in our basement. When the neighbor got home, he had water in his utility room, and both of them was pop-off valves from hot water heaters, due to the increase in pressure, because the pump kicked on and the valve was off. And so from what I understand, that caused a spike in pressure. But what if I had not seen them at the pump and asked, hey, y'all have issues today or whatever, and that was at 9 o'clock at night coming home from the football game? Would I have been notified, or would I have been responsible for my damages from something that was not caused? It wasn't faulty equipment on my end. It was faulty, it was because the procedures of what happened on the water. So that was first and foremost, to make sure when there's issues that could be caused, that we can get notices out to those customers in that area. And so Tommy, I spoke with Tommy the other day in the hall, and he mentioned, hey, we're looking on being able to send notices out in sections. That's first and foremost, because I don't travel, I'm there every day. My neighbor that did have an issue, he's a pilot. So he and his family are gone for periods at a time. And so what if he'd been gone on a trip and he hadn't come back for 3 or 4 days? So that was a Friday. Okay, I know they keep a check on it, but then they don't see it until they get the office on Monday, so it would be told. And so not fault of his, not fault of any of his equipment on his end of the line. It would have been because of spike in pressure due to something on the water pump side. So first and foremost, that would have been, we'd like to have a notice on that side. If there's something that can be done to make sure that we do that. The second thing is, for 3 or 4 years, we've had an issue with a substantial amount of water pressure on our line on Parker Branch. And so not only at our farm, at my house, at multiple neighbors. If I measured it and recording around and looking on measuring the road distance, it's about 1.25 miles from that pump station, or 1.4 miles from the pump station to my neighbor right up the road. I think it's 12 meters. That I know of, there's been 6 water leaks or issues that that they've had to repair lines in the ground, or we've placed multiple pressure regulators, and that's all on Parker Branch. And that's the neighbors that I talked to. I don't know about neighbors on the road. There's a few of those neighbors in there that they don't have residents, that they're not there all the time. So I don't know about those situations. That's just the one that I'm familiar with. Several of them replace lines in the ground just past the meter, just past their regulators. At our farm, which is the first meter, just past there, we've replaced regulators, we've replaced. I put high pressure floats in on my side past the regulator. I put high pressure floats in my livestock water tank. I had to replace the frost-proof hydrant. Is then on up the road just past me at my neighbor, I think the water department had to replace a section of line under the road. It may have been to the age, but my question is, as a customer, is at what point is our water pressure too high that we're having to deal with? And I understand it's serving a water tank on up the road. But constantly when we put, because I do have a hydrant, because I like to be able to fill my water tanks and stuff off that ag tap. And so it's not regulated, but I do have a regulator going to that water tank. But when I'm trying to fill up spray barrels and stuff, I want to do it quick. So it doesn't, and I put a pressure tester on there, and it'll constantly read well over 175 PSI.
And where's this at? Where's the
Parker Branch Road? It's 80 Parker Branch Road. is the farm address. And so, but also the neighbor that had the water leak after the valve, he couldn't get a plumber, of course, that was a Friday, you know, he didn't get a plumber, he fixed his hot water heater. Is when he had a plumber to come out and replace his pressure regulator and things early the next week, like on Monday or Tuesday. The plumber said, "Hey, you had a regulator." He said, "It's a good thing you did. It would blow everything else in the house out if you hadn't had that." When he checked it, he had over 200 PSI in his house. You know, he put so the plumber had a pressure regulator and put it, or he checked the pressure in his house. And so, that is my concern, and I talked to Cece, I think she addressed it, you know, a couple of months ago, and brought it up, so that was the reason I was coming. We haven't been out in the past, we were just kind of frustrated with the situation. And I've talked to several, I know a lot of the water department employees have been here a long time, and went to school with them, or friends with them, and so I would tell them about the issues, and hopefully it got addressed, and we haven't had anything to do about it. And so that's the reason I was here to see, and I talked to Tommy the other day, and he mentioned there's some newer technology they're looking at to prevent the pressure in that pump from getting high, because I don't know what the pump is, but from what I understand that, Tommy, that line goes up Parker Branch and then it stops, correct? It's a dead end. Now, but the pump is really to pump water all the way up to the Cato tank, on Nichols Road.
Yeah.
And so, but the pump is before the fork was split in the line, correct? So it's pressurizing both lines. And so what happens if there's a spike in that pump pressure, I would say that there's an outlet on the tank end, you know, it's going into the tank. It's got a way to absorb it for those customers there. We have none on the end of Parker Branch. And so that's why we see, because I just thought, I left a class down there, a gentleman that lives on, he actually lives up Dixon Creek. He lives right there at Dixon Creek, or Dixon Creek, Oklahoma. And he, you know, and I was talking to him, he said he didn't have those same issues that we have, but he has an outlet. That pressure has an outlet when it goes up that way, versus on our road, we don't have that outlet. And I bring that up because a lot of if you look at municipal standards, or if you look at a lot of piping, you'll see 150 PSI stamped on that pipe. If I'm not mistaken, you use sensors water meters in the ground, correct? You know what the max operating pressure is when you're sensing water meters? 150 PSIs. And if we're delivering more on the water department side to that water meter, you know, that affects my confidence that I'm getting billed correctly. If the PSI that's coming into that meter is more greater than 150 PSI. And that's just a billing standpoint. That's not dealing with leaks. That's not dealing with, I've got a pressure regulator in the ground. You're putting equipment in the ground, and then you're delivering more pressure than your equipment in the ground says it operates at. And I think that's the meter y'all use, is that correct?
We're on the near style.
Yeah, okay, but I know that was that. Because that's the one, it's a census, made by Violent Action Stream. I know that's what I looked to see if it was in the ground. The document on here says max operating pressure 150 PSI. So, and that's my concern, is, you know, if we have to do something, you know, to reduce that pressure on our line, and then, you know, just as confidence as a customer, am I getting billed correctly? And I know those water meters are set to a standard, but they have an operating range. You know, I studied enough of that in my engineering classes that I know there's an operating range of water meters. And so that was actually what I studied, and it wasn't municipal water meters, it was agriculture flow meters. So they have operating ranges that they perform correctly. But I just wanted the board to be aware that we have had issues. I don't know if anything can be done. We would hope that something could be done on, at least on that line. I don't know if you've had customer complaints with, you know, water pressure on up Parker Branch. I would assume that it's probably not, because it doesn't have to go near the elevation that it is going that water tank.
Everybody, but we have records to look at.
Yeah, because I was thinking, it is because I don't know if y'all had to adjust the pressure, because that tank, that pump station's been there a long time. We think it's been there,
It's been there since I've been here.
it's been there 15, I think about 15 plus years. And I don't recall, because we bought our farm in 2006, and I remember having to put a regulator in the ground. But for a long time, we never had any issues. And so I don't know if the technology will be better in the past. Yeah, and that's what I wonder is because something is going on, but, and I don't know if it's a certain time, because we can, before we replace the regulators or anything in the ground, that our water tank is the first thing that was on that water tank. I mean, we put the regulator in the ground, we had to have it, so that was fine, and that water tank for a long time, 10 years, probably longer, never had problems. And then even now, even until the last 2 or 3 years, you would only have problems in certain instances. Like it was just like when that pump was.
Sporadic.
Yeah, it might not leak, and then you wouldn't have to replace the valve, I wouldn't adjust anything, you go in there and you could clean the tank out and make sure it was floating set, it was fine, and it'd be fine, and then a week or 2 later, it would go to leaking again. It's just like it was building up pressure or the pump was kicking on. So I don't know what was causing the issue, but I know for a while we didn't have water pressure issues. My cousin's house is the first one there. He's had a regulator in his basement the whole time. And his regulator, I mean, we had to replace it, it did go bad, but prior to, his house is roughly 10 years old. I have to be exact. He didn't have water handler, like he didn't, pressure regulator in the house, his pipes didn't make it. Well, now he's got water handler in his basement, so that tells us there's more pressure than it once was on that side. So, and I say this because like when they're at parties and stuff, we have these kids at a birthday party and they turn the water on upstairs, you're in the basement and you can hear the pipes, and you're like, what is that? And because I asked, the year before that, you never heard, you couldn't hear that. So we know there's some changes, there's something that's happening. I hope it's like I know you see all the data technology in that pump. I don't know if it's the pump, it's building pressure.
And there's a lot of variables with that,
Yeah.
I hate to say side effect,
Yeah.
but it is with that situation, because from personal experience, I've had something similar and, so I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Mr. Evans, I want to thank you first and foremost for coming to this board. Few come to the meetings and even speak,
Yeah.
or even much less even hear us and what we do with our time here that we invest here. You brought some very valuable information to this board, and 3 huge are, you would like, from what I understand, you'd like to be notified in the event that there's possibility of, I'm not sure that they'll always know if there's a possibility for damage that would affect the homes that they're operating near, so.
Yeah, that was.
And so, and that was the thing, so they wouldn't have known, but there again is, you would like to know if they had if there would have been an issue in the water, just like you probably didn't realize you didn't have water to some of those customers because the valve was off until they called and told you.
Yeah.
And so you would like, hey, it's just very similar is, if Tri-County's gonna, they're gonna have a power break, if they're cutting it off in the summer because they're trying to save electricity, they notify you to cut it off. Well, if they had a water main break, and they could have notified that group of customers in Cato, hey, we got a water main break, we're going to be working on it. If you have issues in the next few days, cloudy water, whatever the issues could have been, well, then I would at least know, hey, this happened, did y'all have a water pressure spike, this is because then my water would have got trapped.
So Tommy,
The other thing that happened, not with you, but
Yes.
some of your name, just like the
Yeah.
lady that named your road.
Yeah,
She went all weekend, and could have called us and we
Yeah.
took them out, but her water had like, we had air.
and, yeah,
But she waited until the following, I think it might be Tuesday, I said, oh, you just call us next time, we would come out here and flush that off. And since then, since we learned these things happen on Golden Mall or on his road.
Yeah.
We went out and installed some air reliefs in those lines that did have them. That let that air out where it hits the end of the line, we put 2 on each Golden Mall, 1 on his road, 2 on his road.
yeah,
That'll have a bad issue in the future, the pump fixing that, putting VFD control in that pump, it's an older design. And one of the reasons we went ahead and done this is because one of the motors said to burn up in it. Instead of buying the original motor, we bought a motor that's more portable. So we're updating all that to this, which means that if a valve gets shut off and missed, it'll be designed not to ever build any pressure higher than what it's supposed to put to the tank. And that's right. It
Go ahead,
takes
please,
about
go ahead.
65 things to put it to the tank.
So,
Just so I understand, so there's a pump,
Mhm.
2 lines, 1 line runs to a tank, so obviously physics says it has a place to go, the other line is a dead end line.
Well, all of
Just-
this lines like that, all the models.
Just asking, and we're talking about we need to replace this pump, right? I'm just trying to make sure I understand. Could we not move the pump past their line?
Well, the reason it's where it's at is because it's tied to a 6-inch line, and if you get over on the other line.
Yeah, I think either line is that was. so they-
Would it help if we took that dead end line and looped it?
I don't know, does it leak around there?
No,
It don't.
look, you would have
That's
to.
what I'm asking.
It's,
But if we looped it, would that not help the
It would
situation?
have, it would be a rotation, it would move around. Water.
Would it lower the
But it would
pressure?
lower
for
the
them?
pressure.
I don't have pressure.
Well, can I have some of his pressure? Cause I ain't got enough at my house.
Well, hey, I mean, we got other places in the system with pressure pushing 200.
I'll take 50 pounds of what he's got.
It's because of all the high heels that we have to get water to.
I understand.
Hydraulics. Yeah, it's just part of the hydraulics have to work to get people to water. Unfortunately, is there, that's in case that they feel that tank. We looked at updating that pump and make it pump more water to help it grow more efficient. And do that, it would overpressure, put more pressure than it can stand up. It's as big as it can ever be. Without upgrading, there's a 4-inch section of line, about a mile or two, have to be upgraded. That might help.
yes,
It takes some of that off of it, and so upsizing the line would help some.
and there's probably been more demand, what they built. A dozen houses, there's several more houses up the road, so it's got more demand on that tank. And then y'all, we added line rail pole.
About 80.
Yeah, and then it looped back in on the Smith and Macon County, and they added line on that side from that tank as well, so the demand increased, so I would say that's the reason we started seeing more problems, was that pump was having to work a whole lot more frequently, it was just serving a few customers on Trevor County.
Ms. Stafford, you had a question? Did you?
I was just gonna ask if there was a preventative measure, I know after the fact. With the air being in the lines, that there were some things done, is there anything that we can do prior to that? To prevent that from happening?
Well, it'd been nice if we had to go turn the valve off, that would have helped a lot. People make mistakes or, they're even.
In the long run, is there a preventive, like, is there, something to reduce that pressure, like going up our line where it's a dead end?
They like regulators going to be on.
Yeah, and then that's, just, to make sure, you can still run, to me, if you're getting below that 150 PSI, because there's not a lot of elevation drop, and then when I checked today, is in a 6-inch line, is you don't lose a lot of volume, you don't lose a lot of pressure in a 6-inch line, it's in your smaller lines that you start losing water pressure pretty fast, and so if you could reduce that just enough, enough where it was to a normal standard of what your equipment and especially what your metering, system is, supposed to be supporting.
Do I understand that you had to replace your regulator
Yeah,
on this as well?
yeah.
And this was the regulator that was installed in 2006, is that correct?
Yes, that one is on 2006. I replaced one, I had to replace one in my house because I'm assuming that regulator is what failed. That caused my hot water heater during the other thing. And I had that one, that was put in, because I moved into my house in 2012. I had to replace it about a year after I was in my house. So it's about 10 years old, best I can figure, and it was in 2013. So I've had to replace that regulator as well.
Thank you, sir. I think that this isn't something that we can fix tonight, but I do think that this is something that we can look into. I would like to ask the board if there's any more discussion that anyone has, or Tommy, if there's anything. But I think this is about procedures, and I think this is on the procedures. Ms. Stecker?
If I may, can we look into getting a system to notify the customers?
We
when-
are working on that. We did a test on a zone, since we put in zone meters. We've been trying to put all the customers in that zone, you know, they're looking at the wheels past that meter. That way, this is for the water loss stuff we've been doing, but also that same list can be used to notify customers. But all we have to generate is an Excel file that has their information, and we can send that to someone, or company, or we can figure out how to get.
Yeah, there's companies, global, we used to go Nick, I know several extension offices, we use it. You got an email list of numbers, you upload that list of numbers and tell them, make sure they make a call out and go through them. So, you know, there's several companies that do that type. Once you can get the list.
Really be a tech, I don't like phone calls.
Well, in his area, he may only interject, says, you can't use your cell phone much out of it.
I ain't gonna answer
You
it.
know, like, there's gonna be, in my community, there's a lot of older customers that would not even have they may not even use a cell phone at all, you know, so they would, you know, they won't.
They do have the internet out there.
If Richard Johnson's got a cell phone,
But you'd be surprised, is the some of the older folks out there that don't.
There's a lot of that people still do not.
They don't have it, they don't use internet or cell phone.
Miles, your neighbor?
Miles is my neighbor, Miles is the one that.
You probably heard that.
Yeah.
Miles has worked for me for years.
So.
I know Miles, and they, like Katie, since he's recently met his wife. So, anything, you may have anything else?
That was just the end of, you know, we've had all these water pressure issues over time. And like I said, and I'm trying to think back today how long we get in there, because it never called off for
We'll
years.
look into that.
Yeah, because we,
I think we
and I don't know.
need to have it.
You know, it was either failing or it was doing something, because it never, for 10 years now, I was glad to have plenty of water pressure, because I can go fill up 300-gallon water barrel and go spray in 15 minutes. You know, I was glad to have it, and then all of a sudden it got to be a problem, like it was, we couldn't keep stuff, so.
Some of the upgrades that they've done in the last 10 years in town may have changed some of the things that happened out there.
Well,
If I could ask that we'll just do, in-house
Yeah,
and see what other protocols that could be put into place to minimize the situation. And work with it as much as possible, and if you need to come back to us, come back to us. But,
yeah, with the men on this, when this happened, there's someone now who's responsible for, and they're all really responsible. But he's responsible for saying that.
Thank you very much. Quality assurance. Quality assurance is a very good thing, so appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate y'all.
Take your time.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
He said it's right here.
Who's that?
And Chuck,
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
Evan White is not here tonight to give the engineer report by Mid-Tent Engineering, but Tommy does have it. If I could actually, suspend the minutes for a second and actually introduce someone that I failed to introduce as soon as the meeting started. Lonnie Taylor is our new mayor pro temp. And so he is taking this seat that Mr. Gregory sat in before, so we won't have him. So I want to thank you for taking this position and being a part of the water and sewer utility board.
Thank you very much.
And we'll throw you in really hard, so. Let us know if you have any questions or anything, speak up, please. So how long have you been on county?
Second term. Well, I don't know how it's gonna shake up now, but I currently, co-chair codes and zoning and public works.
Bless your heart.
Yes,
Thank you very much. It is a bunch.
public works, you can't even go to. Without somebody coming up and they're mad about trash pickup, they're mad about the ballpark, forget it, I mean, you're just gonna. It's comical, but
Mm,
it's always something.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad we do.
Now, we are normally given an engineer report from the consultant who is hired, Mid-Tennessee Engineering, but since he's not here, Tommy's gonna give that within his general manager's report.
And this is on the, what is this, with the new capital department that's going on here?
We get all the projects to work.
It'll be on all. All right, Tommy, you have the floor.
Yeah. Right now, the water tank and the water tank will be completed by the end of next, or probably by the end of this week. Technically, they got cleaned up today. But the water line still lasts probably about 45 weeks. But we should have we might be able to fill that tank by December, January. He got there, seems like I heard, I didn't get this verified, but the project bid, I think Jones Brothers was the lowest bidder on it, and they probably won't get awarded that bid. And I think it was $3 to $4 million above what they expected it to be, so I don't know what that means, we don't know, just know that's what the outcome was on the River Bridge project. So I'm assuming they gotta figure out how to come up with the extra money. I think that's about 94, 95 million.
Do you remember the estimated start date on that one?
Not just.
I know it was shifted, I know it shifted to like
Well,
August and then I think
August.
next month. And I didn't know.
it's, October 6th was last Friday, that's what they bid it at. Not only the start time was bid.
Okay, I'm sure they'll have that.
We got $1,105,000 on the line on that. And that was just to do the water line under the bridge. We wanted to do a whole project to tie it back to the start and connect to, but we couldn't control our costs, we just narrowed it down to that small project. TDOT wouldn't work with us about how to bid it, they wouldn't let us.
Not surprised.
They wouldn't do deducts in their bids, it was either all or nothing. So we just narrowed the project down where we could control it a little better and take some, we pay whatever that comes out to be. So we didn't want to take a risk on one.
Once that's finished, you move on.
Yeah, we wouldn't have any control over that cost. We couldn't say we don't do that. You have to do it. There was no choice. You have to do it. We were waiting, we should, I think this month is when the competitive, at Arbor funds, we find $5 million of interconnections to our neighbor down here on I think it's Highway 25 utility district. And we've got run a new line that Highway 25 towards Cascade Springs. It is an interconnection, but it does take care of some of the power problems. There's one reason why we do it, improve our system. And it puts water down in the section, Highway 25 doesn't have it. I think that's crucial.
Right.
If we get it, and it's about a 15% match, which I think to us, it's about $750,000.
Right.
Which is better than the money we might have got, what you're hoping to get through the congressman there, it's about 25% match. So we save a little money, if we do get there, we'll save about 10%. If we put that money somewhere else, not other funds. And I think that we got in the water tank project, other bit of money out there was $1 million we had to pay out of pocket because it was over the cost system. We just opted to pay it. And not to have to go through all that mess with the SRF to update the law. It's not right. So that's about where we are on the project. Waiting here. Well, they've got any more questions about this? And those are some of the monies out there, some of the money we know we're facing to pay any projects. And,
Sounds like this is being a much better than what the county is, some of the projects we've got. So. Yeah. That's why I say.
and the one other thing was the ARPA money that was the non-competitive, that the county had gotten, we got to use for water and sewer. We have to do another, just to be in compliance, we have to do another, professional service, maybe pick an engineer, because it didn't suit on the last time we did it, but that's gonna be held October 26th. 2 o'clock. Yeah, still there. We was able to get it worked out, get it advertised to do it the same day as if he was gonna go do that, but we was able to get it done. And we'll be able to select an engineer, and get moving on these projects, which, one was an 8-inch water line that goes from, Highway 25 around to Starlight. It has into the heading.
Been in the second option.
And then, tanks rehab, or some of the other tanks that need maintenance, we're gonna be rehabbing this. There's gonna be some rehab, once we determine some issues with the, sewer. And we're installing about 20 monitoring devices in the sewer to help determine where those problems are. Helps us find out where the flows are. So once that's gonna be our focus, that first project, getting it moving, is that technology, getting on sewer and manholes, so we can start getting that.
So is it true that this, cruise bin tank is gonna take some of these other ones offline?
3 tanks.
Wow, that's good.
Well, those are easy. I hope it's 3. We're hoping
Would you say, sir? I'm sorry.
They're aging.
They are, then, they're,
they were in our shape.
Yes, I get it.
And that was all right.
I did receive a request on the, information about how long until we have water in all of the, on all the streets. And this is the grant that it all is pending on. So that I did inform the building and codes last night on that. They have an Ag 1 zoning option for 2 acres. They are looking for a 6-inch line to have a hydrant, for there to be a house on a 2-acre lot, if I remember correctly. And, I was brought in on the tail end of this conversation, so I will get some more information, but there is some inquiry in multiple directions about our timeline for offering water, 6-inch lines, hydrant accessible, and to all the streets that are county streets. And we've done this in a report already and study, and we're aggressively going forward with the ARPA grant, but also with some of the funding that we also already have. So Tommy, I need to get with you on that some more. And the other thing was there anything that we needed for the study or MTAS for the rate study? Was there anything that anybody else had thought of that needed to be addressed within the rate study that we're having currently done?
Our biggest thing out there is gonna be the water plant.
It is.
It's comparable to your real problem. As far as the cost,
Yeah.
that's a easy part of it now.
We will press forward on that, and anyone has any questions? Our next order of business on our agenda is public comments, and we have Mr. Scott Graves and audience from the Additional Development Board Chair. Do you have anything?
No, just attending and see what you guys do.
Thank you for being here, appreciate it. Board members, that leaves us. Does anyone have anything? Nothing? Mark wants to go eat. No public comments, no board comments. Can I have yes, sir?
I'm like this, I don't mention this, just stuff to keep you on. We've been trying to collect some of the bad data that was active customers on the books. We had about 100 customers are active and elevated. So we sent a letter out to the non-public they owe to take care of. We work with them, make them know where they need help. We had one gentleman come in and say his honest grandpa years ago. We can't prove it. We looked, we searched for the record, see him in hand. I had this 3 people look it up, see if we could find where to prove what it says. We've done. We can't find other short of a receipt showing he paid it out. I'll tell him, we can't prove what he's saying is true. Well, that's about the way it goes. So, he did come in here about 2 years ago, and one of the ladies that worked with him, and he told him then he owed it. And he didn't mention nothing about anybody paying it for him before. And that's what made me a little suspect about it. He cited him about 280. Internet, well, anyway, I mentioned it tonight because he wouldn't, I'm not coming up, but at least I missed it to y'all, I told y'all about it. You know, we've had people come in and tell us that they bought a water tap, 10 years ago, and without a receipt, I can't give you one. We just don't hand stuff out like that without proof. We need to find it, or you need to prove to us you bought it.
Sorry about the look.
That's just how it goes. If you start that trend, anybody could walk on the street and say, hey,
She said you let them make payment,
we'll help them. We try to offer that help to help them get them out.
and obviously he ain't too concerned about it.
He didn't come. I did tell him he's welcome to come.
Thank you.
Talk to him.
Cash check, credit card.
But I'm just letting y'all know about it just in case, at least I can tell him I did mention it to y'all, and if he asked. And, I know nothing I can do for him, other than if he can provide a receipt, prove he paid it, that would take care of it. That's about all I can do.
Thank you for informing, appreciate it, bringing it to our attention.
Nothing, sorry.
Anyone has anything else? I'll take a motion for adjournment. Who's adjourned? First,
Second.
second, and all in favor? I'm sure. Have a great evening. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This was very organized, and it